Let's do it, folks. It's happening. Welcome. I'm Lee Camp. This is Dangerous Ideas. I'm sorry, no Eleanor Goldfield today. She sends her regards, but she will be back next week. Donald Trump will win the upcoming election for two simple reasons. I will bring those to you in just a few minutes. And just to be clear, and I'll say this again later in case you need to remind, it doesn't mean I want Donald Trump to win. I don't want Donald Trump to win. I don't want Joe Biden to win. They're both genocidal maniacs, and that's where I draw the line, you know? I have a lot of lines, a lot of things I'll work with, you know. Okay, I don't love how that person leaves the bathroom after they've used it, not very tidy person. I'll still work with that person. But when it comes to being a genocidal maniac murdering people around the globe, I treat that as kind of a line that I don't really want to work with. Don't really want to be a part of your party, okay? But anyway, I will be bringing you in just a few minutes the two simple reasons that I'm pretty certain Donald Trump is going to win this election. And I will also bring to you why it doesn't matter. But let's start off, though, with day 175 of Israel's special genocide operation. And by the way, please hit thumbs up. Please hit share. Please hit super chats, all those good things. I love you, folks. And that's why I bring you 4 of these every week. But it is day 175. Over, 33,000 people have been officially murdered. That doesn't count the people lost under the rubble. Over 13,000 children. Israel just yesterday assassinated another journalist. So we're well over 100. I think we're getting closer to like 130 journalists murdered. And that is more journalists than were killed in the entirety of the Vietnam War, the entirety of World War II, because in those wars, journalists were not being targeted in the way they are by Israel right now, trying to take out all the journalists, take out all the doctors, take out all the leaders, take out all the academics, all the professors, take out even the IT, upper echelon IT workers who are the people that would lead rebuilding Gaza from an IT standpoint, bringing them into a modern age once they've been destroyed. Even they are being assassinated as well. And that's what a genocide is, right? In every regard, this is a genocide. And, someone's asking about RFK. I will be also, once I get to the Donald Trump segment, I will also be talking about RFK's VP pick. Very exciting VP pick. Hashtag sarcasm. But let's bring you, though. I love bringing you the protesters because they are the best. And those interrupting our ruling elite, those interrupting the parasites and the vampires that run this death spiral. And last night, and the mainstream media is all abuzz, not with the protest, but with the fact that this event happened, all abuzz with the fact that Joe Biden and Obama and Clinton, I think Bill Clinton was it, and Stephen Colbert, they all got together and they raised something like $25 million or whatever the hell it was for Biden's re-election campaign. And for Biden's, this wonderful election that is really just a wait list for the nursing home. That's what this is. We are watching two guys compete for the wait list for the nursing home. But here's one of the protesters that interrupted this event of war criminals on stage with Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert is just a bit of a propagandist. He's not really a war criminal, so I'll give him an exemption on that front.
There was an insurrection happening.
Shame on you, Joe Biden! Shame on you! Shame on you! You are funding genocide in Palestine, and no amount of full concern that you do will change the billions that you are doing! You did blood on your hands! Blood on your hands!
See, I don't know. I really love that she did that. I don't know if she really nailed it because blood on the hands. I think they got blood on their souls. They got blood on their brains. They got blood dripping out of their mouth and their nose. So it's not really just the hands. She's being a bit too specific. But no, thank you all the protesters who interrupt events like this, who interrupt the war criminals that get together and have their little soirees and their little parties and raise millions upon millions upon millions of dollars so that they can continue abusing people around the globe. Let's remember this genocide, this U.S.-backed genocide right now started under Joe Biden. I mean, at least ramped up under to an extreme degree under Joe Biden. Yes, Israel was involved in ethnic cleansing before this, but this level of genocide, it's Joe Biden, okay, where this started. So if you want to say, oh, well, Joe Biden's the lesser of two evils, how do you figure? The genocide started under him. So I don't think Donald Trump is the lesser of two evils either. But this horror show that is happening started under Joe Biden. And anyway, thank you to all those interrupting, protesting. There were tons of protesters, by the way, outside of this event as well. And by the way, that video was just one of the people that stood up during the event and screamed and made it clear that this is a genocide, that there's blood on all their hands. Another update, UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese has outlined how Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. So this is now a UN rapporteur, employee of the UN, representative of the UN, saying this is genocide. By the dictionary definition, which I've brought you many times, this is genocide. She said, quote, following nearly 6 months of unrelenting Israeli assault on occupied Gaza, it is my solemn duty to report on the worst of what humanity is capable of and to present my finding, the anatomy of a genocide. History teaches us that genocide is a process, not a single act. It starts with the dehumanization of a group. By the way, I just played the clip the other day. I'm going to start saying BT dubs because I say, by the way, too much. So I'll join the kids that say BT dubs. You know, those kids that are now 35, but they used to say BT dubs. But she said, so she said, she's talking about the dehumanization, and Gallant, the basically Israel's Secretary of Defense, what we would call Secretary of Defense, called it, he called them, non-humans or animals. I believe he called them animals, but I played that clip just the other day. That is the dehumanization that needs to happen so that people can go, okay, genocide is fine. You got to dehumanize an entire population. She says it starts with the dehumanization of a group as other, and the denial of that group's humanity, and ends with the destruction of the group in all or in part. The dehumanization of Palestinians as a group is the hallmark of their history of ethnic cleansing, deep dispossession, and apartheid. So that is the UN Special Rapporteur. And do you want to know how the U.S. government responded to her statements there? Well, here is State Department spokesman Matthew Miller. Always good for a laugh.
Did you see or read the report made by Francesca Albanese yesterday in Geneva, where she what she showed was irrefutable, as far as she's concerned, irrefutable evidence that Israel engaged in genocide. Did you see the report? What is your comment on it?
I did see the report. Let me say a couple things about it. First, we have for a long-standing period of time opposed the mandate of this special rapporteur, which we believe is not productive. And when it comes,
so let me start off by saying we don't even think her position should exist. like, how is that your answer? Like, well, is Israel committing a genocide? Well, we don't even think she should have an office. I mean, let's take her stapler away, because that is, I'm not okay with her even having somewhere to sit and work. Like, what a pathetic, sick defense while a U.S.-backed genocide is going on to just say, well, we don't like that her office is even there. Anyway, he continues to make it worse.
Which we believe is not productive. And when it comes to the individual who holds that position, I can't help but note a history of anti-Semitic comments that she has made that have been reported.
She made anti-Semitic comments?
She has, and comments she made in December that appear to justify the attacks of October 7th. So I think it's
bullshit. That guy is so full of bullshit. I'm surprised his eyes aren't covered over in brown globs. She is not being anti-Semitic. She's being factual. This is absolutely a genocide. And everybody except our goddamn U.S. empire knows it. This is a genocide. And you are not anti-Semitic by calling it what it is, what is happening here. Okay? Israel is not all Jews. I am Jewish and I am opposed to Israel committing genocide. And I don't know if this guy's Jewish or not. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, you can be Jewish, as millions are around the world, and be absolutely critical and opposed to this genocide, as you should be if you have a goddamn moral compass. But these guys do not. And yeah. So the answer when you're confronted with the fact that even a UN rapporteur is calling this genocide, your answer is just to say anti-Semitism. It's just such a trash response.
Important to take that into account. But with respect to the report itself, we have made clear that we believe that allegations of genocide are unfounded. But at the same time, we are deeply concerned by the number of civilian casualties in Gaza, and that's why.
Oh, are you deeply concerned? Are you? Yeah. Are you really deeply concerned? Is that why you have not actually done anything to truly pressure Israel to allow the aid in? The U.S. could have all of that aid into Gaza immediately. The U.S. could stop Israel from bombing Gaza immediately. The U.S. has that power over Israel, but they're not exerting it because this is a U.S.-backed genocide. And even people within the U.S. government, and I've covered this several times over recent months, various people within the U.S. government are quitting or leaving because they cannot abide by, cannot sit there and endorse this genocide. And we have another one. By the way, thank you, Byron. Sorry, BT Dubs. Thank you, Byron, for the donation over on Rumble. Really appreciate those super chats. Help keep this show going. And whether you're watching this live or not, you can click the thanks button or the super chat button and throw a couple of bucks, a little tip to keep this show rolling, and to keep the lights on, as they say. Because the political commentary in the witness protection program with just a dark face is not, lights off. It doesn't go over well. It doesn't, I've tried, but anyway, I mentioned that even people within the U.S. government are quitting, are leaving. They can't sit there and be a part of this. And we just had another one. This is from Anel Shelny. Is it pronounced, or Shellen? Oh, wait. It's misspelled up there. Shelline. Anyway, Anel Shelline. She just retired, stormed out is more like it, quit the State Department. And this is an opinion piece she wrote for CNN to explain why she quit. She said, since Hamas's attack on October 7th, Israel has used American bombs in its war on Gaza. 69% of all Israeli imports of weapons are American, which has killed more than 32,000 people, 13,000 of them children, with countless others buried under the rubble. Israel is credibly accused of starving the 2 million people who remain, according to UN Special Rapporteur on the right to food. A group of charity leaders warns that without adequate aid, hundreds of thousands more will soon likely join the dead. Yet Israel is still planning to invade Rafah, where the majority of people in Gaza have fled. UN officials have described the carnage that is expected to ensue as beyond imagination. And this woman says, for the past year, I worked for the office devoted to promoting human rights in the Middle East. I believe strongly in the mission. However, as a representative of the government that is directly enabling what the International Court of Justice has said could plausibly be a genocide, such work has become almost impossible. Unable to serve an administration that enables such atrocities, I've decided to resign from my position at the Department of State. And these are important. These type of people quitting and retiring and speaking out, they're important, even though to you and me, we may go, well, a little late. It's been 175 days of genocide, and now you decide you're not going to. Well, why were you a part of this genocidal administration before October 7th? You and I get it like that, but the people that work in these offices Many of them do not understand. I know it's weird to say that the people in these offices don't understand the deeper machinations of the U.S. empire, but many of them don't. Many of them, grew up what I grew up believing, that, oh, yeah, the Democrats are a little better than Republicans, but the U.S. is a force for good, and we're trying to help people around the world. And they stay in that lane for years, and they even start working in government thinking the goal of the U.S. government is to help people around the world. Sure, we didn't quite get it right with Iraq. Sure, we didn't quite get it right with Libya. Sure, we didn't quite get it right with Syria or with Haiti or with Chile or with Guatemala or with Argentina or with Cuba or with blah, da, 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 da. If I list them all, we'll be here till 2029. And they stay there and they stick around and they keep doing it. But a lot of them are now seeing the reality of, at least in this moment, what the U.S. is, what Israel is, and they are one and the same. This is a U.S.-backed genocide, and we have yet another State Department employee walking out, and not walking out quietly, like saying, I can no longer be a part of genocide, which is pretty incredible. And again, this is thanks to activists. That is not said enough, that this fight, this spiritual fight in a way to alert the world to this genocide, it could not be done. It could not be achieved. It could not have gotten to this point without people speaking out and standing up around the world. And that is the pressure that has gotten people like this State Department spokesperson, who probably leaves CNN on 24/7 in her Bluetooth just so she can enjoy the sweet mumblings of U.S. propaganda, but she doesn't realize it's propaganda. Even people like them are waking up, are seeing it. Ireland's always one of the better countries on things like this. Ireland has announced it will join South Africa in the genocide case filed against Israel before the International Court of Justice. And again, that's a big deal. Most countries are afraid of the blowback of doing such a thing, of bringing a genocide case against Israel, but not Ireland. And so they're now joining that South Africa case, saying Israel is absolutely committing genocide. Here is another administration, I don't know if that counts as an official, but administration employee of the Biden administration, who has walked out and is not walking out quietly. Ahmed Khan wrote something for The Intercept. It said, organizing aid to Gaza led me to a harsh truth. Biden is on board for ethnic cleansing. I have organized airlifts of women legislators, judges, and journalists out of Afghanistan as Kabul fell. So he means for the U.S. government. He was helping the U.S. government get people out of Afghanistan when the U.S. government finally, even some of the ways they phrase these things is they're still in the propaganda mindset, even though they're walking out of the Biden administration. He says Kabul fell. Well, yeah, in a way it fell. If you think the U.S. empire should own Kabul, then it fell out of the U.S. empire. But anyway, that's a story for another time. I organized airlifts of people to get them out of Kabul. I delivered ongoing aid to Ukrainian frontline villages during Russia's invasion. I worked on efforts to build runways, roads, and highways to deliver aid to Rwandan refugees after the genocide, and delivered aid shipments to enclaves besieged and under attack by the Syrian army. So all of that is phrased in a way where this is a guy who's bought into U.S. empire. Anyway, he says, trying to work the issue from every angle on a daily basis to get urgent medical and food aid into Gaza, I've come to the conclusion that President Joe Biden, for whom I hosted fundraisers and worked to elect in 2020, can you imagine being so dumb? You're still trying to get Biden elected in 2020. Anyway, has signed on to I came to believe that Joe Biden has signed on to Israel's end goal of ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in Gaza. So this is another person working for the U.S. administration, the U.S. presidency, who has realized that this is genocide and that Joe Biden is on board with it. So internally, again, I can't stress that enough, internally, they're realizing this. There is a low-level mutiny happening in the U.S. government of people who see this as genocide and that the U.S. is facilitating it. The Biden, by the way, BT Dubs, Biden apparently, if you do the math, the U.S. government ships arms to Israel every 36 hours. Every 36 hours of this entire 175 days of genocide, the U.S. government has been shipping weapons to Israel. Every 36 hours, a shipment goes out to help murder children. Over 13,000 children. The Biden administration isn't just complicit by refusing to condemn Israel's blockade of humanitarian aid, an absurd situation leading to the U.S. to incur significant costs and unnecessary risks for symbolic airdrops. And they are symbolic. They are such a tiny amount of food compared to what Gaza needs and compared to what's sitting in the trucks at the border of Gaza that are not being allowed in. Continue from the article. He's actively supporting Israel's oft-stated but ill-defined war aim of eradicating Hamas, a military effort with little concern for Palestinian lives or the fate of Israel's hostages held in Gaza. So here is another one. Here's another person in the administration who is leaving and saying that I have seen the light. Biden is facilitating, at minimum, a genocide. Aaron Mate made a great point also about what the Biden administration is doing right now. He said, earlier this month, Joe Biden said that an Israeli assault on Rafah would be a red line. And I just want to reiterate here that Rafah, because Israel bombed so much of Gaza and told people to go to Rafah, Rafah it's where almost everybody in Gaza has gone. So out of the 2.3 million that were in Gaza before October 7th. Now Israel's killed 1 out of every 75 people. But out of the 2.3 million, something like 1.9 million have gone to Rafah. That's the last estimate I heard. So almost the entirety of people are now packed into this one city. And Israel is now, I mean, they have begun bombing Rafah. They're not in a full operation on Rafah yet, but their bombs have hit and have killed people from Israel on Rafah. But anyway, so I just wanted to make that clear. Joe Biden said that an Israeli assault on Rafah would be a red line. A red line. Now Biden's Pentagon is helping Israel plan an assault on Rafah. His red line is now a green light. And here are 2 articles about that. U.S. pushes to shape Israel's Rafah operation, not stop it. Here's another one. Biden warns of red line for Israel over Rafah. So that's what it was. And here's how it's going. It was a red line. Now it's let us help you cross that red line. Let us get together and have a meeting on how we should just exactly cross this red line and murder thousands of innocent civilians. Let us get together and chit chat about that, shall we? As I continue to do throughout this episode and on most episodes, highlight the amazing work of activists. I have another short little video here for you. This is workers in Greek. Sorry, I was reading something in Greece, not in Greek. This is workers in Greece stopping a U.S. arms shipment that goes through Greece that's supposed to go to Israel. And anyway, here they are halting it and spray painting killers on the side of it. Greek workers have halted the arms shipment from the U.S. via Greece. And I don't know why it would go through Greece other than I will say that a lot of times the U.S. will, what are the words? I don't know, reappropriate or something. I don't know what the technical term is, but they'll take weapons that they have somewhere around the world. We have 900 military bases around the world. So we got a few weapons out there, and they'll take them from one area and shift them over to another. And that way they can get away around Congress. Now, granted, Congress votes to approve almost every arms shipment there is. It just is a little slower. So anyway, it's a lot of the weapons that have gone to Ukraine have actually come from us leaving Afghanistan. So the U.S. military took everything that was in Afghanistan or a lot of it and shipped it to Ukraine. And thereby that didn't have to be approved by Congress because they were already out and about. They were already circling the globe. So it's fine. It's fine. But I'd like to thank a shout out to those Greek activists for halting that arms shipment. Let's see what else we have here. And by the way, just BT dubs, want to throw it in here. We're getting close to the halfway point. If you can at all support this show, I don't have big advertisers. Most of them would not want anything to do with me. Corporate America is not a big fan, as I'm the most censored comedian commentator in America. But if you're able to throw a couple of bucks in there by the super chat or the thanks button, no matter when you watch this, you don't have to be watching it live to throw in a little, hit the thanks button and throw it in. You can also become a member at leecamp.net. That will forward you to my locals page, which is the community that really supports this show. And you can go check it out for free. You can take the free version, which is become a member, or you can do the paid version, which is a whopping $6 a month. And it would be amazing if you could do that. And thank you, Underhill, for the donation. Underhill wants to know when the happy fun times come again. I was just talking to my source on that. They said 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, happy fun times will be here again. So have no fear. Oh, and someone donated. Pete donated over on Rumble. Love it. Love it, Pete. Yeah, Pete. And yeah, Underhill. You're the best. And thank you, Sherry, for the kind words there. Okay, I want to show you a quick video. And don't worry, we're getting to the 2 reasons that Donald Trump is going to win this election and also the many reasons it doesn't matter. But that's coming up. But I want to show you the thought process. And this is hard to watch. And I don't mean it's dead children. This is just watching someone talk. But the thought process of your average Israeli settler, your average Israeli, because all the polls show that something like 80 to 90% of Israelis support this genocide operation. And I think part of the reason is that Israel, because everybody has to be in the military 2 years, not serve. It's not serving. It's just you're just in the military. They have to be in the military for 2 years. That means they have 2 full years at minimum of indoctrination and full-on manipulation and full-on brainwashing. And I know for various reasons how also articles I've read as well, but how effective and careful Israel is with psyops, with brainwashing, with manipulation, using every tactic in the book. And so I guarantee you, if you are in their military, they have thrown everything at you they can come up with to melt a human brain, turn it into Play-Doh, and then shape it into crazy town. Now, I don't know whether this woman I'm about to show you was in the military, in the IDF, but anyway, just watch these thoughts.
The Gaza Strip. We can't just take a whole strip of land and say Israelis can't live there. That doesn't make sense.
So I'll just stop there. She's got more, but it is hilarious for an Israeli to say, well, it's not fair of them to not let us live there. The Gaza Strip is what it is because Israelis kicked hundreds of thousands off their land and forced them into that area. It is an open air prison by Israeli design. She's acting like, we just were here and they just wouldn't let us through their gates. You built the wall. You built the wall. Like, it is, it's so backwards to be like, they won't let Israelis into the Gaza Strip. And you should also go and read about the first Nakba. Many people calling this the second Nakba, but it's been verified in many texts, there's plenty of proof that Israel murdered like roughly 700,000 is the number I heard. I'm sure that number can be moved around depending on what people find, but 700,000 Arabs and Palestinians were murdered by Israel in the 1940s to make room to create Israel, and just straight up executions. And I've brought to you on this live stream documentation from inside the Israeli government saying how, like, instructing people on how to go to towns and just execute people. It's unbelievable. Thank you, Sherry. Yes, Sherry. God damn it, Sherry. Beautiful, beautiful human being. Solidarity. Let's see. People are saying the volume of this one's a little low, but unfortunately, that's about as high as I can do it. But anyway, let's keep hearing from a genocidal Israeli here.
Israelis can't live there. That doesn't make sense. This is our sovereign state.
Would you live there?
Of course.
By the beach?
Oh, for sure. Yes, my husband's also talking about building. He has a yeshiva, Talmudic Institute here. So building a branch in Gaza.
So she and they are already planning on how they're going to take over Gaza, what they're going to put there, how they're going to live there, how they're going to live by the beach once they fully ethnically cleansed Gaza. I mean, it's horrifying. This while children are starving and being bombed and being assassinated.
We have lists already about 500 families that are willing, on the drop of a hat, to just move into. We have North, Central, and South Gaza, and people are going to start building towns. We have names of the towns. We have where we're building them. It's already being planned.
It's already being planned. We already have the families ready to go do their settler colonialism after the ethnic cleansing has been perpetrated. It is amazing to see such genocidal ethnic cleansing speak come so naturally and as if it's a pleasant thing. It's beautiful. We'll go there and we'll build a town. And we already have plenty of people on the list ready to go, ready to join us down in Gaza once we've ethnically cleansed everybody there. That's right. Okay, so moving on, and I may get back. I have more news on Israel, and I may get back to it if we have enough time here. But let's break for a moment. Although this will have to do with Israel in a way. But let's move on to the two simple reasons that Donald Trump will win this election. And for those of you who are new to my stuff and need me to say this, I do not support Donald Trump. This is merely a prediction of reality. Like if I see myself falling and I say, as I go, I predict I'm going to smack my face on the ground. And then it happens. It doesn't mean I was endorsing or celebrating my face hitting the ground. Donald Trump's a genocidal maniac, all right? Megalomaniacal, parasitic piece of human narcissistic garbage, a dumpster fire of absolute refuse. Same goes for Joe Biden. These are two genocidal maniacs. They drop tens of thousands of bombs around the world on innocent people every day. Both of them did. Both of them have. And, when Trump was first running, you couldn't call him a genocidal maniac because he hadn't yet had the power. But now that he had 4 years to do it, he is a genocidal maniac. He's a war criminal, as is Joe Biden. One and the same in that regard. However, despite that, reason number one that Donald Trump will win this election is because of Gaza. It's because of this genocide. And the truth is, the average American kind of very simply looks at what's happening right now and who's in office. They very simply look at, this is a genocide and Biden's in office, so screw him. And that doesn't even mean they're going to vote for Trump necessarily. A lot of them are just going to stay home, especially Muslims and across America. And Biden needs Muslims to win this election. So people are blaming Biden rightly for this genocide because the U.S. has backed it. Now, if Trump gets into office, he will facilitate it equally, if not more. It's going to be exactly the same. So, but the difference is Trump doesn't need Muslims to win his election. Biden does. So reason number one, which is fairly obvious, is that Genocide Joe to Americans is Genocide Joe. Genocide Trump doesn't exist yet in Americans' minds. Now, you and I know he would be equally horrific, but that doesn't stop people from saying, I want the current genocidal maniac out of office. And I know I showed you these numbers yesterday, but they really go to this point that a new poll just out the other day, majority in the U.S. now disapprove of Israeli action in Gaza. And these numbers are tanking so horribly that you are going to have millions of people stay home on election day because of this, for stay home rather than support Joe Biden, rather than support a genocidal maniac. And they are both genocidal maniacs. And the only way we win anything from this election is if both of them go down, if both of them lose, if we do not have a genocidal maniac running this system anymore. But as you well know, if you follow my stuff at all, this system is completely rigged. Your vote on president essentially doesn't matter. They will have made it nearly impossible for any third party to even get on most of the ballots. And then even if that person gets on most of the ballots, they're going to have zero media play. So all a third party, even if a third party does well, all it could do is, maybe change some of the other numbers a little. But the reason I still have had 3 presidential candidates on this show, Claudia De La Cruz, Cornel West, and Jill Stein, have all been on this show. And I consider at least a couple of them friends. But the reason I've had them on here and the reason I still think their runs are important is because of the messages and the ideas they're getting out there. Ideas are seeds. They need to grow. We need to all work together to grow and build them. And so I am all for those ideas getting out there. And I think that is why the platform of a third party run can be important on the ideas front. But just to reiterate these numbers, even since November, so these are people that supported Israel for 2 months of genocide, have now dropped off steadily. The approval in November was 50% and now is 36%. That's all told of Israeli military action. The disapproval was 45% in November and is now 55% disapprove. So it really is tanking, and that'll just get worse as Israel continues to commit this genocide. So to me, that's the biggest reason that Donald Trump will win this thing. And there are a few caveats before I give you the second reason Donald Trump will win this dumb election. Is one of the big caveats is, of course, if they find a way to arrest Donald Trump for one of his various crimes, and most of his crimes are real, but they're kind of like, we have such a corrupt ruling elite that I don't know that they're that different from the crimes of the rest of the ruling elite. So, but they're going after him because they want to stop him from getting the presidency. Now, I'm not going to defend him. I'm not going to sit here being like, he's not being treated right in court. Because if you find yourself defending a genocidal, war criminal, sexual predator, megalomaniacal billionaire on anything, then you kind of lost your way. You kind of lost your way a little bit. So I don't give a shit to defend him, but I'm just saying, obviously a caveat would be if they find a way to actually arrest him or to get him kicked off the ballot in multiple states. It seemed that they almost got him kicked off in Colorado for a minute, but he's back on. So obviously that's a big caveat. But here is the perhaps bigger reason that Donald Trump will win this election. And it is simply the massive amount of free media he still gets. Even though they've stopped, like in 2015, 2016, they played his rallies just uninterrupted on CNN, okay? They've mainly stopped doing that, but they're still endlessly covering him. It is most of what CNN and MSNBC do. And negative news, it doesn't matter if it's negative. His entire career is based on all news coverage is good news coverage. That doesn't mean he didn't get angry at some of it, but all of it is good for him and his brand and everything else. Bad news coverage doesn't matter. Most of America, or whatever it is, 40-something%, still approve of Donald Trump, no matter how insane he is. But this was back in 2016. Donald Trump wrote $5 billion in free media to the White House. $5 billion of free media. Our mainstream media got him elected in 2016, and that includes the mainstream media that was supposedly, ostensibly against him and didn't want him to win. $5 billion. And I remember this number from when we were covering it back in 2016. I didn't have enough time to keep searching for the article about it, but Trump, by some analyses, got 10 times as much media coverage as Hillary Clinton in 2015, 2016, and 16 times as much media coverage as Bernie Sanders when Bernie was still in the race. So that's like immense amounts of more media coverage. And didn't matter whether it was negative or not. Didn't matter. It was exactly the same. But I wanted to bring you so I went over and just did a quick analysis of the YouTube channels of CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, which is still where most Americans get their news, sadly, these garbage propaganda outlets. And if you look at the videos they upload now, last few days is a few less because of the bridge accident, but these are the clips they upload. So these are the clips they're a little more proud of rather than just their standard live broadcast. You've got 2 Donald Trump segments out of 6 or 8. And then you keep going and you have, even when it's not a Donald Trump segment, it's people talking about Donald Trump. Let's see, here's another Donald Trump down here. Here's another Donald Trump, another Donald Trump. Another Donald Trump, and another Donald Trump. And they may have some about Biden, but if you look at the number of views, the Donald Trump ones have far more views. They're doing it for the clicks, but they're getting Trump elected, and they don't even seem to realize it, honestly. They're just trying to get more viewers. CNN lost 40% of all viewership the moment Trump was out of office. And so they want that viewership back. And so they keep covering Trump. And it doesn't matter, positive, negative, doesn't matter. So that's CNN. Then you go over to, and their live streams, by the way, are even worse. It's more Donald Trump. This is a little bit less because these are the clips they chose to upload. But you look at, here's the difference, by the way, in viewers of these clips. MSNBC, Biden, Trump clip gets 22,000 views in an hour. Mexican cartels weaponizing sexual violence gets 1,000 views compared to 22,000. Another Trump clip, 28,000 views. So even if they're not putting up tons of Trump clips, what they are, Trump, 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 Trump. Even if they weren't putting up endless Trump clips, the Trump clips get far more views, which is why they're doing it. And they're giving him just endless free media. Endless. He couldn't ask for more coverage. Now, believe it or not, Fox is a little bit the exception because they put up about equal amounts of Trump and Biden coverage. Of course, all their Biden coverage is negative and most of their Trump coverage is positive or at least in defense of. But still, Trump generally benefits far more from, even if it were equal time, far more from these clips. So our mainstream media, as they are sitting red-faced saying, oh, Trump, Trump, evil Trump, they're getting Trump elected. That's what it is. Now, let me just wrap all of this in a nice little bow by saying, guess what, folks? Trump and Biden agree on 90%, maybe 95% of every issue you can come up with. Sure, it might not seem that way, and sure, they harp on the ones that are slightly different, but the vast majority of the actual structural issues, the real deeper shit, they agree on. They agree on capitalism running the world and running us into a death spiral. They agree on destroying the environment for our own benefit, even if Biden might pretend to care about the environment. In actions, they are exactly the same. They agree on endless bombing of children around the world. They agree on supporting Israel's special genocide operation. Donald Trump has realized it might help him in the voting to seem a little skeptical of some of it. So basically, he's said a few times that it's like bad PR for Israel, and that Israel, we shouldn't send them quite so many bombs because it's bad PR or whatever, however he phrases it. But it's bullshit. He would absolutely continue the killing of children exactly as Joe Biden has. Anyway, that's just a few of the structural issues that these clowns agree on. And since I brought up third parties, I want to talk for a moment about RFK Jr.'s VP pick, etc. But I'm going to do that over at rumble.com/Lee Camp. It is free to watch there. It take you 2 seconds to get over there. Rumble.com/Lee Camp. Rumble.com/Lee Camp. Rum like the drink, and then bull like the animal. Nope, not like the animal. rumble.com/Lee Camp. LECAMP. Free to watch over there. So join me at rumble.com/Lee Camp. That's it, rumble.com/Lee Camp. And I would love to see you over there. And solidarity to everybody who threw in a super chat to help